This Dysfunctional Gaming podcast was previously recorded live on Twitch.
There we
It's
are.
okay, it's
What's
okay,
happening? Welcome to Dysfunctional Gaming's Talking D&D. Oh hi, oh hi, oh hi. Welcome. My name is Thundercat0420. The man to my left here is your friend GM Patch Nasty. Welcome.
Hello.
Who's the one on the left? That's GM Patch Nasty. He is our resident stash master.
Yes.
And also Dungeon Master, GM, Game Master. He's played a lot of other games as well.
In 2 months, it will be my stash-iversary, just to let everybody know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right?
In October, it'll be my beard-iversary.
Aw,
That would be 3 years.
I'll get you a bow.
All right, so let's get to it. I guess tonight we're going to be talking from a Dungeon Master's perspective.
Or a good game master.
Or Game Master. But tonight, no, we're Dungeon Masters because we're talking D&D. We're not talking other games. We're talking D&D tonight. Our encounter building is what we're going to go over. We're going to go over some combat skills competitions and also role-play encounters. They're kind of all one and the same. You can do a little bit of both, a little bit of all of those things in an encounter. So do you have anything you want to add to encounter building before we get into our vocab?
Yes, I would love to elaborate on encounter building. So, I briefly thought about this in the 3 minutes I thought about encounters, and something shined to my mind. Most board games are simply your base encounters. If you think Clue, in the base, it's kind of a role-play encounter where you're being detectives and trying to go from room to room, but it's also turn-based and trying to figure out who done it. But when it comes to D&D, you can break them up into the three, like the combat, which is your simple one, which everything's easy and fun with. Role-play, which is probably one of my favorite type of encounters. And then the one that really tests the ability of the entire party is the skills competition, or a skills challenge, or a skills encounter. However you want to call it, it's probably a dungeon master's best tool to make an encounter and think, maybe this is too tough. Maybe I can set something up so they can make it a little bit easier on them so I don't absolutely murder them and be the murder hobo of the table. Which I will admit I've done, and I'm now, never mind. I'll elaborate on that when I plug myself.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about our past experiences in running encounters. So on combat, there's a few things that you kind of have to keep in mind, and that's going to be something I talk about in our vocab. In skills competitions, you kind of want to put your players first. I think you kind of want to just make sure that the skills that you are going to have them use are generally stuff that they're able to do, instead of just making a real difficult skills competition. Because normally your skills competition is, like Patch said, something that can kind of reroute them to a safer alternative, or something that will bridge them to that big combat that you have set up, but will give them the experience they need to get them there too. So there's a lot of things you can work in with the skills competition, but role play can be played in all of those situations. You can use your role play in combat to dissuade someone, or use it for a spell that makes your role play work better. Just changing different things that your look or something to make your role play more fun. That can happen in skills competitions and in building combats. So let's go to vocab. You wanted to talk about what this week?
I don't remember because it's in the chat, and if I switch over, it will break my computer.
It's all right. I'll look at that.
I wanted to talk about hazards. Because
hazards. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Beautiful bearded gentleman. Hazards is a DM's best friend. If you want to you can make 2 goblins incredibly tough by throwing in certain hazards. Let's say I'm going to throw 2 goblins at the party. Where is the party? They're traveling somewhere. Okay. Maybe they're traveling at night. Maybe these 2 goblins stumble on them while they're sleeping. Now they have to be awake. Okay. And it's a thicket. So it's really, really, really hard to travel. So immediately that cuts their movement down. You can use hazards to make one monster a memorable fight. Like, let's say you're running up to a froghemoth, and all of a sudden you slip and fall, and the player lands on his ass, and he looks at you and he calls you an asshole because he forgot about something earlier. As a DM, it's like, well, I gave you an out. I'm sorry, but this is what happens. It makes encounters memorable without having to be numbers and, this horde of skeletons keeps coming at you. It makes one monster incredibly challenging, like a beholder above, like 80 feet above a hole. So if someone gets telekinesis and dropped, they fall 80 feet. That's what I want to talk about on hazards. You can also do it on skills challenges too. Like it's a chase. There it is right there. Roleplay. I forgot where I was going with a hazard on roleplay. Oh, if you mention certain names, you could have a piece of paper, like let's say King Richard. If you talk about his wife, his kids, or this one random guard, he's not going to want to deal with you. That's a hazard. You just write it in green, and so go ahead and not talk about that.
Well, I remember when I made the underground fight with the dragon, and I had you guys do a skills competition getting out, and all the sand and earth was falling down above you, so you had to move as you were going. So that was just something I put in because I knew they could kill the dragon easily, but with the debris and all the extra stuff coming down, it made it a lot harder for them to continue pushing through. I wanted to stop and say thank you, A-Train, for the subscription. You are our first subscriber. We appreciate. Second?
Double D, the other co-founder of Dysfunctional Gaming, subscribed with Prime first.
Oh, okay. Well, DD, thank you as well for the subscription. But A-Train, we appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely.
We really do. It's really nice to see the appreciation from you guys as well, that you're here for us to watch us talk about D&D.
Or just like our facial hair.
That's true too. If you like beards and mustaches, then we're the guys that you want to watch.
How you doing? Or 5 o'clock stubble. Then we got Vandal too. Don't forget about Vandal.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
My thing I want to talk about was challenge rating. So challenge rating is one of those things that can really like screw with the DM. It's really hard to put challenge rating into someone's head and have them understand it right away. So the best thing I can do for you when it comes to challenge rating is to use it as a reference, and then think about what you can do to make that easier or harder for your players. My players, Patch being one of them, they're smart. They know how to play the game. They have extra. They pick up these little things that they remember they have, and they use them to their advantage. And a lot of their spells are normally buff spells or helping spells that they use. And so there's always something that they can do to break through these hard combats with some of these really tough enemies. So what I do is I will take that challenge rating where it says, hey, use 4 level challenge rating 2 character enemies against that team of 4, and I'll say, you know what, my team can take these 4 no problem by themselves. Let's put 2 more of them in there and make it 6. Or I add little minions to take their attacks from them. So if you can figure out the right amount of challenge rating / minions, you can really make a good encounter / combat for your players to keep them engaged, and also make it tough so they're not thinking that you're just going to let them roll over you every time you have a combat, because they'll start beating your goblins easy, no problem. They'll oh, that sewer full of rats, nope, that was nothing for us, thanks for all the free XP. That's what they're thinking. Nope, this is what you got to do. You got to give them that little extra, hey, you're gonna have a tough go here for 2.5 hours of combat. And there's these 2 wyverns are coming down to pick up your paladin and drop them from 80 feet. Like Patch was saying, that extra little thing that you add in to make it a little bit more difficult for your players is gonna keep your players involved and engaged. Because I know most of the fights that I've ever been in as a player, that have kept me really engaged have been the ones where my allies, my friends, have been getting knocked out quick and like trying to figure out if I can get to those guys back in there and stop them from dying. I remember those encounters more than the 2 goblins that were out trying to steal the food from the poor people. Like, that's going to take 2 seconds. We help the poor people, but my allies, my partners, my party almost died against that Demogorgon. Like, I'll remember that encounter. So, spell slot sinks.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Spell slot sinks. Exactly.
Demogorgon. That was a fun encounter.
So, moving on, let's unless you have anything you want to talk about with challenge rating.
Oh, I'm going to be 100% with you. You've been one of my players before. You've been in some of my encounters. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I have absolutely never used challenge rating. Not once, because you guys, once again, players are smart. If it has stats, they can kill it. Challenge rating is weird. So if you use challenge rating and the hazards, you can kind of gauge and you like take up the action economy. Like having rough terrain that no one can do anything about, no druid, no rangers, that's a whole action to get 30 feet, 50 feet away if you're a dwarf. Like that immediately changes the combat, and then they have to go either 2 turns and fire from farther, or spend that whole action to get up in its grill and do nothing, which as a player is absolutely frustrating. And as a DM, you're thinking that was the right move. That's what you should be doing. Let's hope everybody else follows suit. And on the opposite hand, if you make the encounter way too hard, your players should know to run.
Yes.
That is something
Put that in their heads. From a DM's point of view, put that in their heads before the game, before session 0. We talked about it in the first DM. Session 0, say, hey, you might get an encounter that's going to be too hard for you. You might want to be ready to run. Just be aware that you might have to run from some of these encounters. These are encounters you might have to go back to later when you've got the right tool or the right weapon to kill them. So,
but no, that's what I wanted to expand upon on the challenge rating, because I was like, as soon as you said challenge rating, I was like, I'm going to tell them that I've never used it.
Oh yeah, and I mean for the first while I was running from a book, so I didn't have to really even worry about challenge rating. They tell you how many to put out there. You're like, okay,
yep. You roll the dice, and that's how many you get. Okay,
yeah, here we go. So, but right, after a while, I started homebrewing my own stuff and trying to figure out what to put in for the next encounter, and seeing the numbers is kind of helped me figure out, okay, well, I know that my players can beat that stuff, so Let's add a couple of minions, something that would go along with the beholder. What would a beholder have as a ally or a minion? And I'd be like, okay, you have 12 goblins that clean up after him and pick all the stuff up, and those 12 goblins would fight first, and then the beholder would just sit back and shoot beams at you guys. That would be what I would do, you know what I mean? And then you'd have a reason why those goblins are there. They would all be cleaning up as you walked in. You'd see one with a shovel picking up shit off the ground, the other one's just rolling around like carpet. Like, that's what you would see.
They're doing grunt work.
Yep. So, all right. So what about some good past experiences running encounters as a DM? Tell us about something. Let's see. I mean, I can start if you want. I can start if you want. My favorite encounter still to this day will be Pink Feather Island.
That's your favorite encounter of all the encounters because it's yours.
Yes, the one that I ran. It was one of the first ones I like put together after we moved on from the book, from the Tiamat, the first Rise of Tiamat book. So
Horde of the Dragon Queen.
Horde of the Dragon Queen, yes. So that was, like one of my first ever encounters I ran, and getting you guys there was fun. That was like a lot of skill competitions. You fought some trolls that you scared off the ship and then got to the island, and then they came back because they can regenerate. And then you fought them on the island with all the dead flamingos, trying to find poor Tasselhoff Burfoot. There was a lot of, there was combat, there was skill checks, there was role play throughout the whole thing. Even just getting you to take the deal.
That was fun.
Because Barondir didn't want to do it, so I had to figure out how to get you to get to play still. So I made you the captain of the ship, and then doing the role play with Vandal was fun as L'Ariel Silverhand. So that would be my favorite running encounter, but. Like some of the good ones that I've run also would probably be the dragon.
Which one?
Encounter the underground one where you guys had the chase. It was basically a chase scene, but it was the collapsing tunnel, and you guys use your guiding boot.
Yep.
Instead of guiding bolt, they used their ring of spell change and changed one letter and changed the L to an O and used guiding boot. And what happened? There was a boot that just started running with you guys in it. Is that what it was? Like a mother goose boot or whatever it was.
That was fun.
That was a good one.
That one.
What about you? For me, what one did you like that I ran?
It's gonna be funny because there's a couple of them. There's recently any interaction you have with me as two. At any temple, because it's great, because I don't know where I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to talk to you and I'm going to learn a bunch. The room before we fought Tiamat.
Oh, that was a fun one. That was a fun one.
As soon as I figured it out, I went,
you're
a beautiful genius.
So I was like, I need them to waste some spell slots before they go into Tiamat, because they have these weapons, and I gave them a bunch of extra feats basically that I made on my own that they trained for with specific people. So they all had their own little perks. A couple of them were basically god avatars. And so they had all this extra stuff. So I'm like, I need to take a little bit away from them before they go fight Tiamat. Otherwise it's going to be over in an hour rather than 3 hours. So what I did was I put this room that they had to walk into. Hi, Fuzzrab. Thank you. I had to put this room in here for them to walk into, and it was the only room that they'd had to go through that I put before Tiamat, and it was just a room of illusions. But they were illusions that could hurt them. So it was like these men would just run out with swords and start swinging at them, and then they could get hurt by them if they were trying to fight back, but they could walk past them and they'd disappear. There was the trapped floors. They were like you stepped in a specific spot and a fireball would erupt, but it depended on where you stepped, but it was like an illusion. So you couldn't tell. It would still hurt you because it was psychic damage. So people are throwing like spells. They're using like their rages to fight at these people that aren't there. And it was just a real like funny, good 20 minutes of them trying to figure out what's going on in this fucking room. And all they had to do was walk 30 feet far enough past the wall. Like the wall was there. It was a fake wall though. It was an illusion of a wall. They had to walk through the wall to get to see that it was all illusionary stuff.
It was literally every dirty DM trick in the book, and I was like, mwah, mwah.
There was a dragon that breathed fire. That was one of them. You thought it was a dragon room. Yeah. Fuzzrap, thank you for the subscription, buddy. Thank you, Bob.
I've run so many encounters.
Yeah, tell me about what your favorite one that you ran.
I'm gonna tell you a little bit about one that I ran. So honestly, it's not even the kaiju battle at Out of the Abyss. It's the first Demogorgon fight when I murdered the Kuatoa place, and I wanted you guys to run, and you were standing there being defiant, and I was like, okay, I've given Demogorgon a whole bunch of range, because why wouldn't he have it? I gave him a couple more spell slots, because these people, I gave them feats when they were level 5, and I was like, all right, let's see if they can get him to run. They didn't until it was starting to, like, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to feeble mind someone. Let's see how that goes. And that would be the lovely fiancé. And I was like, I can do it twice. Why not?
I can do it twice.
Yeah, she was the only healer. So take out the healer. Now she can't cast spells. What are you going to do now? Now you're screwed. That was probably one of my favorite like combat encounters because I wanted you guys to run and you were just being defiant.
Well, we also thought we're basically gods.
Yep. We'll get to that in my lore section. But for like some social encounters, some of those are most like the most genuine things, like when I'm just talking with people. Like anytime I was conversating with Grog to like any party that I've ever DM'd or played with, like just talking like this and then just going wherever my mind thinks is always fun. But it's always the ones where I'm a villain, where I have that little bit of a long diatribe, and if somebody interrupts me, I'm gonna murder them, and I'm not even gonna question.
It was always me.
No. Because the very first time I ever tried to murder someone was when I did Ivyron, which was a little one shot, and you guys got some cool stuff. And Vandal interrupted me, and then Mrs. Vandal went down, and I hit her while she was down. And the fiance, there was not a character that was Beth yelling at Aaron. It was Travis and Laura Bailey, except it was Beth yelling at Aaron because he was gonna murder his. You're gonna murder this person's character. They're only level 5. I'm sorry. Let me diatribe. She didn't die, by the way.
I did it with Mephistopheles, and as Tacklin, I tried to pickpocket him, and you froze. And you froze me. You're like, nope, and I was like, Bleh.
What was one of your favorite encounters that I've run?
Let's see. I mean, I liked Zaphod. All of the Zaphod stuff, like that you ran when we were on his ship. All the bullshit that we did, I was like, I was always so mad, but so happy. Like, because I know in character, like, what's happening. Like, I know out of character what's happening, but in character, my character doesn't know what's gonna happen, whatever. But I'm just like so mad at all the stuff that he would get away with.
So,
but at the same time, I would laugh. It would be so funny. Some of the stuff that he would do is like way past like borderline crazy. Like,
Zaphod is Chaos Incarnate, and it was loosely based off of the character from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But when I was handed the reins to, I think I want to call it the very first like virtual tabletop before COVID, we got everything popular about it. When we played on PlayStation, I did everything I could to sci-fi D&D. I made Daleks, I made Borg, I made what else did I make? I took a Nalfeshni and I made it Nibbler from Futurama, and it was the funniest thing in my mind because it's this big, like hulking, umbrous lug, and it's just a little itty bitty baby Nibbler. I made Hummacavula like a demi-lich, but still had him like the spider legs. I wanted to see how far I could push D&D and just reskin everything and make it sci-fi.
You did the tomatoes.
Oh, I did Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? That's right, I did that. I just took the plot from that, and I was like, why wouldn't a wizard do that? You can polymorph things into tomato. Why not? He's a powerful wizard. Ha! Tomatoes!
Yeah, that was always so good. I thought his stuff was always funny. And it was fun how we went from like the 3 different like homebrews and put them all smushed together. It was pretty good how we did that. So yeah,
but no, those are some of
Zaphods were good.
Like sci-fi D&D always intrigues me because I'm like, what can I get away with? What can I reskin? How far can I push this? A bag of holding is essentially just a big backpack or a cell phone. A sending stone is a cell phone.
Yeah,
that's the coolest. It's so funny.
Yep. I mean, yeah, everything you can totally make into technology type stuff easily.
Yep. And then have an Arcana roll be tech.
What's identify? You went onto a computer and used Google.
I Googled it. I literally just took a picture of it and then, what's this?
You scanned the UPC on the back of it. It tells you what it is. So, all right. Well, yeah. You got anything else you want to add to your running encounters? Past experiences?
There was one that kind of happened because I went crazy. If you're a DM, always know like quick stats of like things like guards, because your players will do things that you don't expect, like go back to the scene of a crime, go back to the scene of a burglary, and have your little trash panda start talking to guards, and then try and give back the thing they stole, and then the cleric cast calm emotion. The rogue picked me up and ran away, and I'm like, we didn't do anything. Why are we evading the arrest? So I bit him.
This sounds kind of familiar to
This happened last night.
It sounds very familiar to an encounter that I ran as a DM, and you guys went to a place that had an epic legendary weapon in it, and you went and stole it when you weren't supposed to be in there, and then someone went back and told the guards that you had went and taken it, and you guys were in jail. And then when we were in jail, the guards came over, and one of the clerics, he was like, you know what, Gaius, and you're going to forget anything above it. And then you guys left.
No,
but it sounds pretty close. Calm emotions, like, hey, don't take it easy. Take it easy.
It started off as an encounter and then quickly turned into a role play and then completely derailed a whole 7 pages of prep and encounters. And I'm very, very, very sorry, Umlau, for what I did at the end of that. And I'm sorry about the cat. I exploded a cat with a natural 20. I'm a trash panda.
7 pages, 5 hand-drawn maps, and a cat.
Yep. Trash panda for the win.
All right. Well, with that, Umlaut, I'm sorry that you have to play D&D with Patch in general. But with that, we're going to go to our Dysfunctional Gaming intro so you guys can get an idea of what I'm like, what he's like, and what our other 2 teammates, Vandal Zero and Dysfunctional Dad, who's in the chat, are like. We are affiliated now as well, yes. So check us out. And then you'll see some train away. Smooches. Let's get back to it, Pat.
Hello.
This week, we are going to talk about some lore on some dungeons that we know about.
Why dungeons?
Because this week we're going to create an encounter.
And dungeons, you can create a dungeon that has all of the encounters.
Yes, you could do a whole I want to say like 10 levels in a dungeon if you wanted to.
15.
You could make a dungeon that you could do all of the levels if you wanted to. That's what dungeons are good for.
Dun, dun, dun.
So do you want me to go first? Because I think yours is more of a wait till the last minute to talk about.
Well, yours is also in the book that you have, and I think that yours is in that book, and then mine closes out that book. Am I right?
Yeah. So I have
What book are you talking about?
the Tales of the Yawning Portal. If I hold it up, it's backwards because of Discord. But it's Tales of the Yawning Portal. It has 5 dungeons in it. Yes, 5 dungeons, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. No, it has 7 dungeons. The first one is the Sunless Citadel. The second one is the Forge of Fury. The third one is the Hidden Shrine of Tamoa-chan. The fourth one is White Plume Mountain. The fifth one is Dead and Thay, which is in the Doom Vault. Number 6 is Against the Giants, and number 7 is Tomb of Horrors, which is the final one in the book. Today, I'm going to talk about the one Dead and Thay. You can get this book and run the whole book from first level to 20th level.
Absolutely. So I would certainly recommend being.
That's the cool thing about this one.
What?
Fucking buzz drop. So today I'm going to talk about the Doom Vault. The Doom Vault I ran against my players, and it's really mean. It's humongous. It's huge-mongous. It has basically everything you could possibly have in a dungeon. And when I mean everything, literally everything. It has a forest.
Yeah.
It has water. It has ghost areas. It has live animals. It's everything. It's a
what is it?
Dungeon, so you can't get to a lich's phylactery. There are the Thayan liches and wizards are running this place. It is being gone after by the Resurrection Thayan Resurrection movement. They work for their leader, who is a red wizard as well. And she actually left to join the resistance, and she is calling adventurers to go in and get the phylacteries and destroy the Doom Vault. Easier said than done, because you need to find keys to unlock areas. You need to unlock so many areas to get into other areas, to unlock keys to get other keys that unlock other areas. And you have to do at least 7 to 8 of them or something like that to get to the next level, where you have to find the phylacteries, which then you have to learn how to break that puzzle to open the phylactery vaults and get into the phylacteries and destroy the phylacteries. And then there's more things you have to fight down there. Are you entertained yet? So the fun part about it is, like I said, there are so many different things you could run in this book. So I gave my players basically a rundown of the ones that they could go to find. I gave them a little bit of a step up because it's very convoluted. If you want a really interesting, convoluted story, play the whole thing the way it's written. But I had to kind of take a few things out because it would have taken way too long for what I needed it to be. So I used a lot of... I used all the pit traps, I used all of the doors, all of the secrets. Everything stayed in there other than them needing to know which level was which key and that stuff, because you needed a white key to get into the white areas, you needed a black key to get into the black areas. The black and white key can be mixed to make other keys to use for other areas. So it was really, I was just like, if you have a key, you can get into that area if you got the key from this area. And then any area surrounding it was easier to get into. That was it. But you still had to get through all of these places. And the names of these places I will start with are called things like... where are we? Oh, here we go. The Abyssal Prisons.
Nope.
How about you guys want to go to the Blood Pens?
No.
How about to the Master's Domain?
I mean, that one sounds a little more inviting, but I don't want to go there. I know this is the Lich's fault. So what's the next place?
There's a lot of probably guards and stuff in that area, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How about the Caverns of Chaos?
Yeah, well, yes, a little bit. Patch wants to go. Player does not want to go.
How about the Far Realm Cysts?
I don't think we went there. No, we didn't go there.
No, you didn't go there. There was there's creatures
a lot
like
of places we didn't go.
Yeah, because I let you get away with some stuff because it was a lot more convoluted and it would have been a lot longer.
Oh, I know.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time to get you through all of it for what my game was worth. I needed to get to the next point eventually. How about the Prisons of Filth?
Nope. What's the ooze place? What's that one called?
Oh, that one was called what is this one? This one is the Temples of Extraction. That's the end. The Golem Laboratories.
We went there.
The Predator Pools.
We went there. Oh boy, did we go there. I remember that.
You met the Ooze Grottos.
Yep, that's where we went. There it is.
The Ooze Grottos is what it's called.
Yeah. That
Forests
was a fun
of Slaughter.
Place. Yep, we went there too.
Literally a forest.
Literally, it's like every encounter area in a vault.
Yeah.
Literally, it's such a masterwork of like a dungeon with story. That's my favorite part about dungeons. Like dungeons can tell stories, and dungeons can just be silly. Like, do you have anything more to go on?
No, the phylactery vault's kind of a fun part about it, because you guys, I let you guys, I made you guys do that the right way. Like I did the whole thing the real way on that, and you guys figured it out, no problem. So don't think like that needed to be changed at all.
Oh no.
But like the cool thing I thought about this was that they had actual. It wasn't just like goblins and their kin in there, and then the hobgoblins are the ones that kind of run the place, and then above the hobgoblins you have the bugbears. Like it wasn't something like that. It was like, yeah, you might see some hobgoblins, you might see some bugbears, but you also are going to see red wizards, and they're all very powerful red wizards. Like, hey, there's a necromancer here, and his buddy is also an apprentice in necromancy, so he knows half the spells that this guy knows, and you're like, plus, they have all of those minions. You guys might want to run. And you did run from a couple of fights to go back a few rooms because you knew you had cleared them out. And you ran back up and went and rested a night because you were almost dying.
Yep. Well,
that's another cool thing about it.
We almost didn't die. Someone drank from one of the predator pools and was stupid and bit the hand that fit him. I can hear Beth sighing in the background because she remembers it. So let's just move on from that because that's PTSD and you don't know my life.
So there's a cool thing about the cool aspect about this dungeon is you could always go back to the start with the right key, and you could call the Sariana, the lady that calls you for the help. So you could always go back and rest there, but if you rest for more than 4 hours, I think it is, they reset spawns, so you can re-roll to see what goes in there.
So to expand on what I was saying, if that's where you were done,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Go on to yours, please. I've
So-
talked for a while there.
I'm gonna comment a little bit. So I've run three other dungeons from that book. Tomoa-chan, honestly, if you like Indiana Jones, you should certainly run that for your players because it's super cool. Number 2, I ran White Plume Mountain. If you want to experience what a fungeon is, it's the funniest dungeon.
That was
because
fun.
there was one where the room spins and it's covered in grease, so the players have a hard time standing up. But there's also people on the inside, and the grease is flammable. So you essentially have that little funhouse tunnel that is spun, and then it's on
It
fire.
turns on fire.
And then there's a little tunnel which turns into an oven.
The
It's
river
great.
was funny.
The river was also the lazy river ride. But if you have hot shit players right now, visual lookers, look right here. Hot shit players. Mr. DM, you need to run them through the Tomb of Horrors and humiliate them. Put them in their place. You create a universe and you bind it with rules. This is your world. Just remember that. Now, if you are not familiar with the Tomb of Horrors, as all good dungeons are, this was made by a lich. He's on the cover of the DMG. His name is Acerak. However, what the players don't know, he's actually become a demi-lich. He is surpassed the need of his physical appearance, so now he is a floating skull. This dungeon was made by the great Gary Gygax, who made this game for his hot shit players and put them through the absolute ringer. I ran this for my level 10 players, and I went easy on them to an extent. There's not a lot of encounters. There's a lot of riddles that don't make sense. There's a lot of traps that, why are they there? Who cares? First of all, to find the dungeon, you have to be in the desert with a 10-foot pole and dig with it and just tap around to find it. Next, you have to hope and pray you didn't find one of the fake entrances that will collapse on you and, back in first edition, put you through what I like to call save or die. If you save, you live. If you don't, you die. Get a new sheet, get a new character. Welcome to D&D. If you make it through and find the real entrance, you will be put through the ringer of traps and puzzles and shit that doesn't make sense. There's a gate that if you go through, you go good to evil or evil to good. And if you go back through again, you go from a man to a female or a female to a man. Even if you go through a third time, you go to the beginning of the dungeon naked with none of your stuff.
Yes.
There are rooms where if you solve the trap, you take damage. You will take lightning damage for getting it right. If there are secret rooms which lead you to the real ending, which my players did not experience because I wanted to get them out. I had shit to do. And the ending, the fake ending is great. There is a greater zombie that can only be hurt by the one mace in the room. You hit him the first time, he goes, and wails in pain. And you can see the walls start to move a little bit. The second time you hit him with it, it starts to move even more and he wails out in pain. Even the third time you hit him with it, he dies. And then the tomb starts to collapse, which if no one tries to decipher, they run out and they think they've done it. No, that was an illusion. There's more to it. No.
I would have ran probably.
You did. But if they continue to press onward, there's even more traps. There is a room that's like a little pit. If it goes one way, you die. If it goes another way, you die. At the end, you fight Acerak as a demi-lich, which in 5th edition isn't too bad now. But in 1st edition, like the AD&D stuff was oh my god, what are we going to do? We need to run. We need Demogorgon. Somebody call Demogorgon to take out this little flying skull that's going to murder everybody in 2 moves. 2. Horrors is, it's a dungeon. It is certainly not something that you would want to introduce into a campaign with players that people care about. if you are running one shots, get a bunch of character sheets, let them be like level 15, and then run it as the book says. If they die, maybe they pick up something or touch a cursed object and a new character pops in. Or the whole team wipes and there's a new one right behind them. They have to find another one. Maybe the person who works at the Yawning portal, who's been giving them these quests and killing so many adventurers, is actually in cahoots with the Serac. And this is why he's not dead. But possibly my favorite dungeon of all time is Tomb of Horrors, because you got players who think they're great. Cool, go through this portal. You don't touch some stuff. Go ahead. You're not gonna look at it first? All right. Could you make a dex save? All right. You take 84 points of lightning damage as this small little ruby just explodes. There is this invisible 4-armed gargoyle. It's every mean DM. It's Darkest Dungeon, the game as a dungeon, like in D&D. It's, but that's my lore. Dungeons.
I like it. So that's our D&D lore this week. I hope you enjoyed talking about dungeons. Let's move on to our creation zone. We're getting kind of close on time here, so we're gonna have to make our wizard next week or our encounter next week. I think we should
just quick build. I'll quick build the wizard up. We'll do the quick little NPC. So Throckmorton Dingleberry talks a little nobly. He likes to elongate certain words for no reason. Very inflectual, very handsy when he talks. He's very knowledgeable. Always very hair tossing.
Is he really knowledgeable, or does he think he's really knowledgeable? And maybe he oversteps his boundaries?
Sometimes, as why he's been captured in this encounter. Because being an abjuration wizard, you can just conjure certain things. Or conjuration, yes. You can just make things appear, and then you look like a god to certain small-minded individuals. Yes, Throckmorton Dingleberry. But yes, he is a conjuration wizard who will be a little bit higher than the party. Because, he got himself into a little bit of trouble with what are we going to be fighting in this encounter?
I'd like to say that maybe he was taken by... Because we're going to say he's part of the gauntlet.
Yes. One of the higher ranking members, yes.
Maybe he was taken by like not a bandit crew, but like a faction, like a bad faction.
Oh, so we were taken by the Flaming Fist. Yes.
They're bad people?
Well, they're mercenaries, so they just kind of do things.
Yeah, so not the Flaming Fist then, not mercenaries. I'm talking about like a faction that like wants...
Well, the Flaming Fist are a faction, but that's what they are. They
but you know what I'm trying to say, though.
I do. They're not like bandits, exactly. You could just put a word in there, like Flaming Fist, because you can't really say Zentaurum.
Yeah, not the Zentaurum. I'm thinking like not the Zentaurum still mean to do stuff like...
Oh, you're near Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
We could say the Society or the Order.
Okay, the Order.
Me. I think it was.
We'll say some low-ranking members have taken him to a hideout, and they're trying to question him because they know he's not very like important, but at the same time he is a part of the gauntlet. So like they wouldn't be the heaviest of them.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So, but we're going to use bandits and reskin them, are we?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. So, am I going to be standing about and talking? Am I in chains? Well, let's set up this encounter first.
You would be in chains. You would have none of your components or anything to cast with.
Well, that's the good thing about a conjuration wizard, because I can just make things appear. So
I get it. The bound behind your back.
Oh, fair enough.
But the chains, but then you're also chained to the wall, so like you have like 6 feet of chain that like hold you so you can't walk any further.
Okay. All right.
But your hands are behind your back.
Yes. Okay.
The order has kidnapped and questioning.
All right. I'm in Throckmorton's mind right now. And
Okay.
to move back to a DM.
Yeah, let's get a little bit more on him before we go any further. What? What?
Yes.
What kind of spells? He's conjuration. What kind of spells would he have?
Not really the damagey type. I'm more of the knowledgeable. If you follow my drift.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
But I would have your basic wizard like bread and butter. I would have mage armor and
shield and magic missile.
And identify and those type of things. But like my cantrips might be able to help distract people because I would have.
Is he a human?
Yes.
So he has light. Has to have light.
Yep. He has
so
light.
That takes one and mage hand. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep. I am the knowledge wizard. I'm useless in a fight, unless things get really messy.
Light, mage hand, and
prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation.
Oh, and he would at this point, if he's what level is he? 3 or 5?
5.
Okay, so he would have. Do you want to say message?
No, I like. What's the other one? Mending.
I like that. Okay. Yep, because everyone needs to fix their glasses, and who has tape and adhesive on them?
or he ripped a page out of his book accidentally.
Oh, a pocket watch. Yes, I would love that.
Pocket watch. Okay.
That could be my my focus. That right there, but that it's gone, so I can't use some of my things. Anyway, is there anything?
Well, that's
else
funny. The watch is your focus because that would be knowledge cleric. That would be Dudermoin, the one that I picked for what's his name.
Yep. All right,
cleric.
So, how we pick Throckmorton's Dingleberry's brain?
Yeah, I think we're good for now.
Okay. So, let's set up the encounter. Let's set up the approach. As they approach, is it night? Is it day?
All right. So we're at the point here where we've gotten to we've gotten Carlin's backstory. We figured out what she's doing, where she needs to go. For now, we don't know what the full concept is yet of the multiverse at stake or in danger. She ran into the human sorcerer, the Zenturnum member with the birthmark on his neck named Quintilian Sumner. That Quintilian went to Candlekeep but got the wrong book and has to go back.
Yes.
So, and his female dwarf companion, Jurgrin Goblinbane, is pissed and just because she has to watch him. Basically, at him, but it's actually at his parents because they have money and not him. It's not necessarily him, it's more of the uppers. The Gauntlet member, but you jumped in, well, not you, Carlin jumped in with with Quintilian.
Yep.
To go find this book that he needs to get back in. But they find out to find this book they need to go somewhere specific and they don't know how to get there, but this man Quan does know how to get there, and to get there you need to find his friend first.
Throckmorton Dingleberry.
You're trying to get we're trying to get the platinum compass with him. Yeah, okay. That's it. Yeah. All right, so yeah, and then so you have to go get Throckmorton.
All right. Is it night or is it day as we approach the camp of bandits that aren't bandits?
The order.
Yes. I'm speaking as a DM looking at a piece of paper right now.
What do you think? What do you want to do? Do you think...
I think Quan and Quan is a tactician who would want to try and do this as quietly and quickly and efficiently as possible. I think that that Quintillion doesn't care and just wants to finish and meet some new people. The dwarf is just excited to be almost done with this, and yeah.
I think the dwarf would probably go with Quan. Jurgren would probably go with Quan on, like, yeah, we probably should do it his way, not Quint's way. And Quint would be pissed that she didn't take his side because they're members together of the Centurum. And so he's like, what the fuck? Why would you not be with me? We're partners. And then
the thing is one of his traits
but it makes kind of a little like problem in between, and Carlin's just like, okay, guys, like we should really think about, like we should talk, like what Quan wants to do is probably really smart, and then but what Quintillion wants to do should be what we do after what Quan does, and then she kind of like brings everyone back to like level heads, and that's kind of the overarching thing of what she does with the party all the time, is like she's the momish character where the therapist that kind of brings everyone back to zero. That's her character, kind of.
Perfect. I like it.
So that's their little thing they go into. So they decide to do the tactician's way, and if shit doesn't go that way, they go into Quintillion's way. That's basically what we get to do.
Quan is going to do it at night and see, like, the closer to night as you can. So that will give us an option to see how close the characters can get without making a sound, see if they get surprised, see what's actually going on in there, because maybe you can talk it out, who knows. So there's always like, so they can use, like, maybe they can use their stealth, they can use some athletics to move.
So we would do a skill competition.
Exactly.
We'd have to kind of base the camp and kind of get an idea of how the camp looked. And so, like, when we get to that creation stuff, that's sometimes I make a map for myself. Sometimes I don't even show you guys the map. I just say, hey, this is how it looks. So, like, do you want to say that they have like it's a camp, or do you want to say it's like a house,
a camp,
or something?
It's going to be a little camp. Do you remember the skills competition that we did in Hot DQ? And I let out the animals out of the pen?
Yeah. So the LTRL one.
Exactly. So essentially, that's something you can do. So explain a few, like, if you're like me and you don't like using maps and you just like theater of the mind, I put a few ideas into people's heads, like what's in the camp. Like maybe there's a mess area where there's a bunch of people eating and they might seem distracted. There's an animal pen with a bunch of like animals in there that kind of seem a little restless. Or maybe there's an armory or prisoners. So you can give your players outs to use their skills, and then when shit goes sideways, then you can figure out your numbers for that. Potentially, what you'd want to do is figure out what you want to take away from it, like, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dudes if it's a big guy, but I'm assuming there's probably going to be like 20, 30.
No, I was thinking even at this camp is going to even be smaller than that. It's more of like a spot where they, like, it's like a spot where they stop that they have along the way. It'd be like 12 at most at one time. So
let's say 10.
Yeah, we'll say 10.
9 bandits and 1 bandit captain for D&D purposes. Yeah, reskin however you want.
Yeah, and do whatever you want with these with the amounts that make your party work. But with us, we're doing it for story purposes. 10's fine.
Now next, what is our from the visualistic and audialistic part of it?
I think they have a big like it's like a wood, like almost a cabin in the middle, and then around the outside is like tents and stuff. So the cabin would be like the meeting place. We'll say like, I don't know, 100 feet across.
So 50 from the cabin to the perimeter.
To the outside, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. How far is the party from where they noticed this area?
They probably could see it from a while away because of lighting. If they they're gonna have a few fires going, so you'll be able to see silhouettes and stuff.
All right. So how close do we want to let them get before we start this skills con?
Probably within like 50 feet of the outside perimeter,
so
because they're gonna. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Now we'll work backwards on this. So that's when they can start figuring out how many dudes are inside the house talking to Throckmorton. So the captain is going to be obviously in the house. Yeah,
and then he'll have at least 3 others, like 1 at the door and 2 holding him or whatever, or like keeping him in line while he's like in his face type deal.
4 inside, and then you'll have
and the rest of 6 outside.
Okay, and then we'll figure out what they're doing.
Yeah,
I assume
there's going to be a couple probably hanging out at a fire, just like chilling. Yeah,
2 of them are off duty, 4 of them are on duty because they're idiots.
Yep,
there
exactly.
So that'll be the opportunity for people to subvert or do what they want.
And this is where you can kind of, as a DM, put together like, okay, well, you see 2 walking together. One has a crossbow. He's holding a crossbow, and the other one has his hand on his, like, the hilt of his sword, like, while it's in its sheath. And they're walking past about 30 feet from you. They don't notice you yet. What do you want to do? And then that could be, you have everyone roll their initiative, and there's your skills time order. So whoever's first, we'll say that Quan's first in the order, and we'll say that he's going to try to do something with these 2 to get them to kind of subvert a different way.
I don't have his stats up real quick, so I'm assuming he would probably, from his stack point, he might want to investigate a little bit further. So I would, as a DM, either have him like an investigation check or like a survival check, something along those lines, depending on what he has for skills. That's when you have to really have like quick little notes on each of your player and each of their.
Yeah, I think it'd be good if maybe he was like, he like turned around and said to Carlin, like, come here, and like, get your crossbow out, and she just kind of fires one and like uses his turn to help her fire one off like in the distance to kind of make a sound at something. And
so he would even, okay, and then
so he would end up turning his turn into a help turn, which would give advantage on a skill. Something like something to kind of give the teamwork, and because that's what he does, and he's learning that she's like the glue once again, like that's what he wants.
So let's say they subvert. Let's say the skill challenge goes well, and the 4 people, 6 people outside are all taken care of, except for the 4 guards, and then the 2 people sitting at the campsite just chit chatting, recording a podcast. So then you would have what
they're playing houses and homes. I mean houses and humans.
And then at that point you can have, if you want to have the skills challenge keep going, you could do that, or then you could actually have like the captain come out and notice something.
Yeah, and I was thinking even like they get to the door, and that's where, once they get to the door, that's where Quan kind of stumbles because he's got the paladin armor on, and that's normally what happens in a stealth competition. Seeing how he didn't use his movement until after all the other characters went, have him be like he stumbles up to the door, and you hear shing shang thump up as he like, and then a knock on the door because he bumped his head off the door. One of the bandits kind of opens it and roll initiative for your fight now. Like, and get into that combat.
Is how many fails do we want to have is the question, because if we're starting off with a skills challenge, we want at least 4 successes?
Yeah, you would do 4 successes I mean, depending on how many guards and how far they have to go, you could do 4, 6, you could do 10, depending on how big your skills challenge you want it to be. But I would say 4 to 5 for this, and then
How much do you know offhand? How much HP a guard has offhand?
I think it's a guard or a bandit has 11. I think.
Okay, so a bandit is 2 turns unless a crit.
Yeah.
So
At level 1.
At level 1, so theoretically these people aren't going to be one-shotting them. So
No.
they're going to have to work together.
Right, and that's the thing, is that's why that it's their first encounter. They're trying to get their last compadre. I think it would work. I think that's good. I like that.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect. So as they approach, they see several lit fires from this order camp they know is holding Quan. What was his last name? Quan Yu? Quan Yao?
Quan is Chow. Quan Chow.
Quan Chao. Quan Chao. And Quan immediately knows that this is where Throckmorton must be.
Yeah, they've taken care of everyone else outside the camp and haven't found Throckmorton. So he must be.
I won't even go that far because.
Well, we're just saying this is what he thinks. He thinks that those. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you went back.
It's
I got
okay.
you.
But
I got you.
That is where our little story time will get us. So we have 9 bandits and a bandit captain. That's a lot for 4 characters.
Yeah, and so I think what we should do is I'll put together an actual like an encounter sheet so we can kind of have. I'll do it on the or you could do it on your iPad. Yeah, we could do it on one of our iPads. So it's easier to get through.
So, but the thing is, you also have to remember is they can also get Throckmorton out, and he's a level 5 wizard. And if your cliche wizard, as I said, what do you take at level 5? Everybody in that chat should be saying Fireball right now, because that's the one spell. No, it would be something like Lightning Bolt.
Like Misty Step.
Yeah, Misty Step is a 2nd level spell.
I thought, what was the 3rd one that I always used to take? Oh, in Greater Invisibility.
Yep.
That's 3rd level. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Because then you can cast it at 4th and get 2 people.
Yep.
I use that in an encounter with a beholder, and I cast it at 5th level and cast it on a beholder, a war priest, and an archmage. That was fun.
It gives me a legitimate joy to hear the name Throckmorton. All right, so we've created an encounter, and we're gonna work it into our story. Well, we did work it into our story. We're gonna pull that encounter next week and play it. Kind of through Discord here. We'll be rolling some dice next week. I'll try to put together some NPC stats just so we can have our background guys just to have some extra rolls for them. And we have Carlin's character sheet we can go over because we're going to be going over abilities and what they do next week. It is a PC night, so we'll be talking about Carlin's abilities and how they work in the skills competition as we do that afterwards. So next week, 6:30-ish Eastern, we will be back again with Dysfunctional Gaming talking D&D.
Mm-hmm.
What are we plugging this week for this weekend?
Hey, well, for this weekend, you start off with the weekend. First, you go to Ladies and Gentlemen, The Weekend, and you watch Craig Daniel say, Ladies and Gentlemen, The Weekend. And then you come to the Stay On Brand podcast at 8 p.m. on the Dysfunctional Gaming Twitch, right here. We're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart as a wrestling fan. As a D&D player, it's also very near and dear to my heart because we're talking rivalries. We're talking Red Sox, Yankees. We're talking Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. We're talking Austin HBK. We're talking PS4 versus Xbox. We're talking pineapple on pizza versus not pineapple on pizza. How do you feel about pineapple? It's amazing. You should have it. We'll talk about it on Friday at 8 p.m. right here, Dysfunctional Gaming TTV. Be here. Or you can listen to us on Anchor and Spotify and the podcast. Click at the buttons for all you audio listeners. Thanks for your listening.
We have this. We'll be posting this as well on Anchor FM. You can find us on Spotify. You can also find us on Apple Podcast. We will also be having after rivalries on Stay on Brand. We are going to have an affiliate party. We have hit affiliate, Patch. We have hit affiliate.
Feels so good. So good. 52 people. All the 52 people. Y'all are amazing. All of y'all.
We're going to have an affiliate stream. We're going to have a little party. I don't know what we're doing yet, but I wanted to announce it so you guys could be here. So roughly between 9 and 9:30, that will be starting, depending on how long our Stay on Brand takes. But that's a rough estimate. We don't know yet. We don't know.
About pineapple on pizza, it's going to be a hell of an episode. So
also on Saturday, we will be releasing episode 4 of Zombo Force. Roughly between 10 and 10:30 on Saturday night, Eastern time. Zombo Force episode 4. We do not have a name. Yep, there he is, DD. That's right, episode 4, Saturday night. And yeah, that's it. Pat, you got any shameless self plugs?
You want me to talk more about things about myself? Shameless self plugs. Hi, I'm GM Patch Nasty. Twitch.tv, GM Patch Nasty, at GM Patch Nasty on Instagram, Twitter. You can also find me on places that I don't want to name now. Go on my Twitch, twitch.tv/GM Patch Nasty. I play video games. I have a mustache and my hair was purple. Now it's like blue, silvery. I'm getting old in my age. And I just shaved with my girlfriend's shaving cream and my face feels lovely. Because I was out of shaving cream. Ladies, stop holding that on your men. Let us use your shaving cream. It's amazing. Twitch.tv/GM Patch Nasty. Mustache.
All right. Well done. I am Thundercat0420, and you can find me on most general media places like YouTube and Twitch and Instagram. And that's it, I think. PlayStation 4. That's my name on that too. Thundercat0420. I'll see you there. Oh, Twitter. That's the other place. Twitter. That's the same thing. They're all the same, right?
At the Thundercat beard.
At the beard Thundercat man.
We have TikTok now too.
Yeah, we have. Oh yeah, Dysfunctional Gaming has a TikTok. Go fucking follow that too.
Yeah, follow that. If we get to 50 followers, DD will dance for your biddies.
Check us out on TikTok, you fuckers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such an old man. All right, let's.